So a few things we should know before we get into our actual technique of the shot of a bunker play. So firstly, a bunker is called a hazard, and as a hazard there's a really important rule. Number one rule in a bunker: don't ground your club, don't test the surface. So what that means is you're not allowed to hand smooth or move the ball in a bunker. You're also not allowed to let the club sit in the sand. So if I was standing here talking to you guys and I put my club in the ground, that potentially is a penalty for me if I'm on the golf course. So really avoid touching the sand at all costs. You'll also see we have some rakes in a bunker. Now these are very handy because when you finish your bunker shot, it's good golf etiquette to rake out a bunker. Now etiquette's an important part of the game of golf. If you show good etiquette at any club in the world, even if you're a terrible player, you'll always be welcome back. But poor etiquette, and you may not even finish your round of golf at some clubs. So with a rake, simply all that happens with that is when you've finished your shot, you use the little spiky end to rough up the sand a little bit and get it fairly level. And for a lot of courses, that's enough to get it level enough for you to walk away, and it looks pretty good. Sometimes you may need to use the smooth end to drag some sand to fill a hole or whatever, but it's just a nice light rake, and pull that rake along behind you as you exit the bunker. When you get to the exit of the bunker, which would never be a stiff face like you see in front of us, it'll be a shallow face like just over here to the side. All right. As we're raking, as we're coming out, we're getting rid of all our marks. When we get to the end here, some people tend to pull that sand up, which is really not what we want. So use the smooth side, place it in the rake, in the bunker, sorry, and just push that sand back into the middle of the bunker so that when a ball trickles in, it hits that and it runs into the bunker. If you've dragged the sand out, there's a chance that some poor golfer's ball is going to get caught right on the edge of the bunker, and that's not nice. Replacement of the rake, generally there'll be local rules telling you where. If there's not, I always like to see the rake nice and deep into the bunker, so lean in, put the handle away from the edge so it's nicely in the middle of the bunker, and it's not going to do any damage to anyone's ball when they come into it. Great. So the setup for a bunker shot is very variable. There's many ways of playing a bunker shot, and there's many ways of setting up to play a bunker shot. I will show you some of the key elements that I think are fairly important for us to do, and practice with those, but by all means, when you read books or maybe even on our website, we'll post up different things about bunker play. You might see different things that you'll choose to use. But for now, what we're doing in a bunker setup, normally it's an extended width of stance, so we have quite a wide stance. Normally you'll see most players will reduce the length of the sand iron. That gives them more control, so they'll grip down on the sand iron. So gripping down's a good option. A nice wide stance is a good option. Also, quite important, dig the feet in. So get the feet nice and tight into the sand. Ball position for bunker play is very variable depending on where you want to hit the sand and the type of shot you want to play. So for now, for my beginner bunker players, I really encourage you just to keep around about the center of your stance. Sit a little bit more in a bunker. The other thing I like to see students do is straighten the spine angle in a bunker. We do that, as you'll see a little bit later, because we want to hit down past the ball. So instead of having a big spine angle, move your spine angle a little bit towards the front foot. Today's sand irons are generally very good, but it's quite fashionable to open the club face a little bit. That started way back in hickory shaft days. Nowadays, because of the design of the sand irons, not so important to do, but if you want to open the face, that's quite okay. Just remember that it's the path that we swing in that determines mostly where the ball's going to go. So opening the face, we just tend to hit the ball a little bit higher or maybe a little bit softer. So we set up, the club never touches the ground, so it's hovering. So your club is always hovering. Hands will be at least level with the ball at this point. Swing center, a lot more forward than normal. Wider stance, dig the feet in, and a bit of knee flex. And you're ready to commence the golf swing. Now bunkers can be very scary for some people. You know, you hear them called the traps for some reason. But effectively, once you have the technique for playing bunker play, it becomes a fairly straightforward, a fairly simple shot. So today we're going to cover some of the basic techniques that are needed to get the ball out of the bunker. So initially I'm going to start by saying, look, there literally is hundreds and hundreds of different ways of playing bunker shots. And over the time that I've been involved with golf, I've heard many different ways, many different techniques, and most of them are fantastic. But what I've found again is that there's, in all those techniques, there's really three key things that we have to do in order to get the ball safely out of the bunker. And that's kind of my wish for you folks at the moment, is that you can get in here and you can play a nice bunker shot and the ball comes out and gets you on the green. So that's what we're going to work towards. So first part about playing a bunker is that we have to control where the club hits the sand. So in setup, I'll show you kind of my setup at the moment, but setup's pretty optional. There's a lot of variables in setup. But the first thing that we have to do in bunkers is control where the club hits the sand. So in a bunker shot, if we can zoom in nice and close down here around the ball, in a bunker shot, what we're actually doing is we're not going to hit the ball like we would on the grass. We're actually going to hit the sand behind the ball. So the club's going to come down and it's going to hit the sand somewhere behind the ball. So I've drawn a line on the sand there. Now, what I've just done is quite against the rules of golf. So when you're on the golf course, you're not supposed to touch the sand. All right? Even in setup, don't let that club touch the sand. But for practice, of course, I say to my students, look, do what you need to do to learn how to play this shot. So the first thing we want to do is control the club so that it hits at an exact point behind the sand. So I draw a T section in there when I'm practicing. The distance behind the ball is determined by the coarseness of the sand. But for today in my sand, we're looking at about 2 ball widths behind the ball. So first thing that we have to do in playing a bunker shot is make sure that the club hits the sand at that point. The T section represents where the ball is on the target line. And we want the T section to be hit right in the center of the club. Beautiful. So the basic swing for a bunker shot tends again to be a little bit different to your normal one. However, as I say to my students at first, like I've just asked you to do, just practice hitting some balls out first with a normal swing. And you'll start to pick up and adapt that swing to make a good bunker shot.